Oh, hi. Welcome to Gene's Corner. It is so good to be back in camp here at Camp Echo. In fact, for me, it's good to be any place at this point in my life. It's good to see so many old friends. It's good to see so many new members of the Echo family. Welcome. Welcome to Camp Echo. I'm looking forward to a great summer and meeting all of you in person. For those of you that don't know me, I was a camper here at Camp Echo, and I was here at the very beginning in 1924 when this was first an empty piece of land that Mr. Fishbein bought to make a camp. And we didn't even have cabins in those days. We had tents. They were on wooden platforms, and they slept 12 or 14 people. And there are still camps today that have tents instead of cabins. Eventually they built the cabins, and we have the facilities we have now. But in those days, it was pretty primitive, but it was nice. The bunks had different names. We had divisions. The youngest division was called the Slugs, and then the freshmen and the junior boys were called the Skunks. The junior girls were called the Buzzards, and the senior boys were called the Lizards, and the senior girls were called the Vultures. Later on, we went on to more sissy names like Raccoon Lodge and Magpie Lodge, but Mr. Fishbein liked those rough, rugged kinds of names for the bunks. And in those days, Chris and Lisa's grandmother and grandfather took care of this place. And then later on, Chris and Lisa's mother and father, and now obviously Chris and Lisa. But there's a lot of history at Camp Echo. Some of you may be wondering about my hat. This is my old camp hat. My mom just found it in my trunk and she sent it up to me. In those days, the camp colors were khaki. Just khaki. We didn't have blue and white. And one of these days I'll tell you how we got the colors of blue and white. We have other plans for Gene's Corner. We're generally here every week. And we're planning on interviewing Jeff. I know everybody wants to get to know Jeff better, and he's such an interesting person. So our people and his people are working on finding a spot in his schedule when he's not so incredibly busy functioning the camp that we can have an interview. We're hoping that we can get another workout video from our resort and spa section and show you a workout video. And we have other big plans for the summer. What I would like to do right now, and especially it's important for camp history, is to tell you where this came from. Because this is an important part of camp. I notice in the dining room when they need quiet, they go like this, and people gradually just start to be quiet. But there's a reason. This started at Camp Echo. And some of you may remember the story. Years and years ago, when I was a kid, I was in the Skunks. And my counselor was a guy named Jay. Jay spent a lot of years here at camp and eventually became a senior counselor and a division leader and ultimately the head counselor. He's now retired. He's living in Florida. And I understand that at the senior center where he lives, even when it gets noisy in the dining hall, Jay will get up and do. I'll tell you how this started. There was a big rivalry between the Skunks and the Lizards. And the guys would yell at each other from their tents. The Lizards would go, the Skunks stink, the Skunks stink. And you know, we had to say something, so we would go back, we'd go, Lizards bleh, Lizards bleh. And it would happen, you know, a few times a night. One night it just got out of hand. It just got out of hand. Somebody yelled out, the Skunks stink. Somebody else yelled back, the Lizards bleh. And it got more and more until half the camp is yelling, Skunks stink, Lizards bleh, Skunks stink, Lizards bleh. And Jay didn't know what to do to quiet us down. And he came in, he says, you guys have to be quiet, be quiet. And we just kept on going, Skunks stink, Lizards bleh. And Jay, he got red in the face. He says, if you're not quiet, I'm gonna stick my fingers up your nose. And dead silence, because we knew he meant it. Dead silence, everybody just zipped it. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning. Now people worked in camp, people went to other camps, and this spread all over the world. This is now the universal sign for silence in camp. When the two fingers go up, zip it. Absolute quiet. And it all came from this camp in those days and when our good friend Jay invented it. Now, that's not the end. A couple of years later, Jay invented this with two hands. I mean, he was a giant in the world of camping, an absolute giant. But that's where it came from. I mean, you're in a historic place, but this was invented right here in Camp Echo, and I saw it. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up in the Camp Encyclopedia because it's all written down. And I'm getting the high sign from my producer. That's all you've got time for. But I just wanted to share a little bit of Camp Echo history with you. And thank you for stopping in. And remember, if you need me, you know where to find me. I'll be standing in the corner.